The way that this is set up, this specific one is set up, is it shows you the values, different values of the hue. Okay, in this case the hue is red, and then as you add white to it, as you change the tinting of it, you go down to a dark pink and then a pink, and then as you add to it, add darkness to it, as you change that shade, it becomes sort of like a maroon color. Okay, all right, so this is what we call the color wheel. Okay, the whole purpose of understanding what color theory is really knowing how to use colors together harmoniously. Okay, and again, I'm kind of going back and forth to this website here. We're kind of using this as our basis of understanding. And here again, I'm just kind of explaining this to you in a different way, okay? But next what we're going to look at is what we call color schemes, okay? And we are trying to create color harmony by finding what colors work together to create what we call color schemes. So we're not going to go over all of them. For your project, you're only going to be exploring 4 of them. And there are a lot more of them, and there are a lot of variations out there that aren't even on this website. We're going to look at monochromatic, we're going to look at analogous, complementary, and we're also going to look at the triadic. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my color wheel in Photoshop, and I'm going to try to provide this to you, this file to you, in case you want to kind of explore on your own. If you have Photoshop, if you have the ability to get into Photoshop, you can kind of play around with that, and I'll explain how I did that, how I'm doing what I'm doing on the screen here. So I just created some overlays here, and we're going to go ahead and start start with monochromatic. Okay, and I'm going to press, for those of you who want to follow along at home, I'm going to press Control T to transform. Make sure that I'm on that layer, Control T, and then now I can change that. So monochromatic is looking at one color, one hue, and its different values. Okay, so if we have a monochromatic scene, everything is pretty much in one color. Let me go ahead and let's go ahead and look at some examples of that. Okay, for this type of project, since we're not in class, we're really going to need to you're going to need to do some of your own some of your own research. Okay, so if I go to monochromatic, I'm just gonna do a general search. Okay, if I look up monochromatic, of course it shows you what it is. The first thing that you're going to have to do in your PowerPoint, that's going to be your project, is you're going to have to explain what monochromatic is, and then you're going to have to show an example. So this would be a great example right here, just explaining exactly what that is. Okay, something like that, something like this would be really good, because you can see it's the same color, in this case blue, but it's just different values of that. Okay, so let's look up something. We can call it monochromatic, or it's let's see, monochromatic films. Let's look up some films that have sort of like a monochromatic look. Here's a good scene. As you can see in this, I'm not really sure what it's from, but it is basically all sorts of blues. Okay, yeah, there are some pinks in there, but it's mostly just one color. Okay, here's a good example from the Matrix, where everything is green. Okay, now when we're talking about color schemes, we don't mean that every single color is one color. Okay, here the dominant color is green. Here the dominant color is different values of red. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Don't think that if you see any little bit of another color, it's automatically not monochromatic. Here the dominant the dominant color is pink, but as you can see, there's white here. So that's to be expected. We can't really just put a a lens over the camera, because like in this right here, going back to the Matrix, we don't want the characters to look green. Okay, we want it to still look natural. It's just that the production designers used green as the basis of that scene, actually really of the whole movie, and again here too with red. Okay, so you can see monochromatic examples everywhere. Let's see. How about monochromatic character design? Okay. Unfortunately, we're not getting what I'm looking for. What about? Let's be more specific. Disney character. Okay, not really seeing what but let's go ahead and look at some examples here. This is a good example of a monochromatic painting because we're looking at different values of purple. Okay, so as you go through, you're going to look for examples. You're going to have 3 examples of each color scheme. Okay, and this is all written out in your instructions. You're going to look for a fictional character. Okay, it could be a cartoon, it could be a live person, but some sort of fictional character. A product package, advertisement or logo, and a photo or a piece of art. So what I just found here, that purple painting would be a perfect example of a monochromatic color for a painting. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our other things. So we have monochromatic, so you can see here as I go around, I'm looking at one color at a time. I'm just looking at the different values of yellow, I'm looking at the different values of green, of red, etc. Okay? Alright, so the next one we're going to look at, this one is called analogous. Okay? And I want you to think about, actually before I go into that one, let's look at the word monochromatic. Mono means one, okay? So, and chromatic means color, so one color.